Hello my people, welcome. According to a report by Daily Post, there was a tense moment at the former Deputy Governors Forum in Abuja when Shaibu and Omobayo Godwins publicly disagreed over who should officially represent Edo State as its former Deputy Governor. In this video, I want to explain clearly what happened, why it matters, and what it reveals about the deeper problems in Nigerian politics. This is for news commentary and public discussion only. I want to begin by saying this was not just a personal disagreement. It was a public display that reflects how political power in Nigeria is still heavily based on ego, recognition, and personal identity, rather than service to the people. The incident was brief, but the meaning behind it is very important. At the event, Omobayo was introduced as the former Deputy Governor of Edo State. The moment that happened, Shaibu immediately objected in public. He stood up and made it clear that he did not accept Omobayo being introduced in that way. Shaibu insisted that Omobayo was never elected by the people of Edo State and that the position was never vacant in the first place. According to him, a court had already declared his removal from office as illegal, which meant he remained the rightful deputy governor in the eyes of the law. Omobayo, on the other hand, responded calmly. He said he did not appoint himself and that he had tried to avoid any conflict. He also described the situation as almost a national embarrassment. Now, I want to pause here and go deeper. Because this is not just about two men defending their roles. This is a reflection of how political positions in Nigeria are still treated like personal identity badges. It is not about service, it is about status. And that is why even in an event that was supposed to be formal, respectful, and dignified, emotions still overpowered leadership behavior. This event was not a campaign rally. It was not a political debate. It was a national gathering of people who have already left office. At such a gathering, there is an expectation of maturity. There's an expectation of calm. Yet, what we saw was a public clash driven by the desire to be recognized correctly, not for achievements, but for title. And that is the first major concern. In Nigeria, politicians rarely show this same urgency when citizens are suffering, but they react instantly when their position or title is questioned. That sends a strong message about where their priorities lie. It shows that political recognition is still treated as more important than national progress. But to be fair and balanced, both Shaibu and Omobayo have their reasons. Shaibu has a strong legal argument. A court ruled that his impeachment was unlawful. Legally, he remains the deputy governor. That is a valid position. Omobayo also has a point. He did not force himself into the role. He was brought in by the system after Shaibu's removal. He accepted what was presented to him as an official responsibility at the time. So the real problem here is not about who is right or wrong. The real problem is that this disagreement was displayed in public at a national forum with no regard for dignity or perception. Issues like this can be settled quietly and respectfully. But in our political culture, personal pride often comes first. And that is where the deeper problem in Nigerian politics becomes clear. When politicians prioritize personal recognition over public perception, they weaken the trust that citizens have in governance. This is why many Nigerians feel disconnected from the political system, because even in supposed moments of unity, politicians still find a way to publicly fight over titles instead of focusing on the bigger picture. This incident also raises another important question. What example are these leaders setting for the next generation? A forum of former deputy governors should be a place for wisdom, reconciliation, and honest reflection about national growth. But instead, it became a display of unresolved rivalry in front of the whole country. This is moments like this that make people wonder. If former leaders cannot let go of personal battles, how can Nigeria ever truly move forward? Because at the end of the day, development does not happen when leaders constantly defend themselves. Development happens when leaders focus on the people. And this is where leadership maturity is tested, not during elections, but in moments when there is nothing left to fight for personally, except for the dignity of the office they once held. Unfortunately, what happened in Abuja did the opposite. To the average Nigerian watching, this is just another confirmation that politics in Nigeria is still a competition for titles, not a competition for results. But let me say this clearly. Accountability still matters. If Shaibu has a court judgment that validates his claim, then the system should respect it. At the same time, Omobayo should not be blamed for accepting an official assignment given to him by legal authority at the time. However, both men must understand that leadership is not just about who is right in law, but also about how you behave in public. Because how you handle conflict is also leadership. If leaders cannot show dignity, patience, and restraint, especially after leaving office, then Nigeria will continue to repeat the same cycle of political tension, ego battles, and public embarrassment. This incident should serve as a clear lesson. Power is temporary, titles are temporary, but public respect once damaged is difficult to regain. And that is why Nigeria needs leaders who would choose dignity over drama and wisdom over ego, especially in moments like this. Would you like me to proceed into the implications, including how this kind of event affects public trust, future political alliances, and the overall image of Edo State ahead of 2027? What are your thoughts? Drop it in the comment section. For more news stories and breakdowns like this, like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged. See you in the next video.